What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be discussing some Detroit Lions news and also some more strategy potentially heading into this Cardinals game. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And I'm sorry, I know I'm really gassed up right now. It is Saturday, which means the Lions are playing once again tomorrow. Now, tomorrow, the game start is not going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know why I haven't mentioned this. I actually put it in the hype video today at the end if you guys saw it. But they are starting at 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. So, I'm thinking we're going to be doing our preview show maybe sometime around 11. Maybe we push it to 11 after I'm done with ftfn. That's what we might do, just push it back a little bit. Because what's the point of doing it super early if they don't play till 4:25? It's still going to be early. That way you guys don't miss the 1 p.m. games. I don't want to do it during those. You guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, in today's video, we're going to be discussing some Lions news that we were given today. And also me, I was just kind of breaking down some more numbers. Just, what do they say, crunching numbers? Crunching number? Why would you crunch a number? Come on, what did the number do to you? So the news that we have today is that Desmond Trufant has been listed as out. Desmond Trufant will not be playing against the Arizona Cardinals, which it hurt. When I saw that on Twitter, I was like, oh, that really does hurt, because Desmond Trufant was the guy that I was really hoping would get back. I was hoping he'd play last week and he didn't, so I was thinking, okay, he'll play this weekend. No, he didn't play. He's not playing this weekend either. So once again, the Lions will be rolling out some very young cornerbacks. Jeffrey Okudah, who will make his second game debut. That's not a thing. Amani Oruwariye and Darryl Roberts as their top three cornerbacks in this game. And expect the safeties to get some work. And speaking of safeties, I kind of want to discuss the safety position because I've seen this everywhere. The whole Will Harris is getting more snaps than Tracy Walker, and people are flipping out because Tracy Walker is a heck of a player. And guys, if there's anybody that should be flipping out, it should be me, right? Because this is the guy I said was going to be the Lions' breakout player this season, and he's getting less snaps than Will Harris. What is going on here? Well, I'm not going to completely flip out because I think, one, the sample size is very small here. We've only played 2 games. I mean, they're going to kind of level themselves out, but it's also not like Tracy Walker's not seeing the field. I mean, he's still seeing the field on a pretty good amount of snaps. In week 1, he actually had more snaps than Will Harris did. Right now, the snap differential is, I believe, 8. I think Will Harris has 8 more snaps than Tracy Walker. But I was really trying to figure out why. Now, I wanted to go back and watch the film, but I don't know. I couldn't completely figure it out from there. But I did get to learn some good stuff, just kind of see how the Lions got to utilize them and move them around. It seems like Will Harris kind of plays everywhere. The Lions will put Will Harris all over the field. They seem to love his speed because he's a very fast player when you watch him. Speaking of Will Harris, he actually got fined $5,000 for, I guess, the flag member against the Packers, $5,000. Jimmy Collins was fined $35,000, which he's appealing, by the way. Good for you, Jamie. And Oday Abushi was fined $5,000. A lot of findings. What's going on, guys? It's Saturday. It's too late for this stuff. But with the safety position, you know, I'm not flipping out about it too much. Like I said, Tracy Walker had more snaps than Will Harris did in week 1. And when I watch it back, I think one big factor of this that people aren't bringing up is the linebacker position. How many snaps certain linebackers are getting. Because at first I was thinking to myself, okay, hold up. Well, it's probably cornerbacks, right? So maybe Tracy Walker, you know, got more snaps because there was less corners. But I'm like, wait a minute, he got more snaps against the Bears, so that doesn't make any sense. So I think a lot of this actually has to do with linebackers, because Jared Davis, if you look at Jared Davis, he played 54% of the snaps against Chicago and 63% against Green Bay, limiting his amount of snaps, trying to get him off the field on obvious passing downs. And I think that's where we see more Tracy Walker. I think the less that Jared Davis is on the field, the more that you see Tracy Walker on the field to help in coverage. Like I said, the Lions are going to play a lot of 3 safety sets. They've done it, okay? Will Harris is already over 100 snaps. Duron Harmon, according to Pro Football Reference, has played 100% of the snaps defensively for the Lions, and Tracy Walker is getting a lot of snaps. Now, I want to see Tracy Walker on the field as much as the next guy. I definitely do. But the Lions are usually having them out there a lot together, and I think it really does have to do with that linebacker spot. The Lions really seem to be, you know, putting him in there when guys like Jared Davis are not there, because he really does line up against tight ends. He lines up against tight ends a lot, sometimes against receivers, and I think we're going to see that this week as well, especially now with more of a depleted cornerback group. And it seems like Will Harris is kind of the guy that at times may line up against tight end, but more of your running back, your deep safety, kind of the guy that just floats over, kind of the zone type of player. That's what I see more with Will Harris. And Tracy Walker is kind of the guy that uses almost just a different type of linebacker, like a smaller, thinner linebacker. And of course, Jaron Curtis is suspended, but once he is back, maybe we see Tracy Walker's role change again. So the Lions have really tried to change things up because Jaron Curtis is not here and they've had to do that. So I'm not flipping out about this yet. It's literally 8 snaps difference. Tracy Walker has been incredible when he's won on the field, but it seems to be targeted more because he does line up on tight ends and things like that. But that's just my thoughts. I mean, either way, both of these guys have to be on the field, but as a team, they need to be better because they got to go win some football games. So I just kind of want to touch on that really quickly, just maybe some of my thoughts there. But of course, Tracy Walker has been very good, and that's my guy. I still believe that he's going to have an incredible year, and so far his numbers have been pretty darn good. If you look at him statistically, he's put up some solid numbers, but it's only through 2 games, so let's not get too caught up in that one yet. And now talking about the cornerback position, because the Lions are heading in, like I said, with 3 young corners. You have Jeffrey Okudah, you have Amani, you have Daryl Roberts. Roberts sort of young, not as young as the other 2, but you know, he's still sort of on the younger side. And those are the 3 you're rocking with because Desmond Trufant and Justin Coleman are not there. So I'm trying to think, how are the Lions going to attack this Cardinals offense? And I touched on it a little bit, I would say, in my game plan, but I wanted to dive deeper because I'm really trying to figure out whether or not Matt Patricia is going to blitz. Because one thing I see more than anything else is that Matt Patricia's defense has not changed. Corey Unlin is not blitzing. It's the exact same as last year. And I've kind of disagreed with that because I went back, you know, I counted like 6 or 7 times they did it versus Green Bay. And I was like, you know what? I feel like that's not true. Like, I've watched this team. It looks different. And it seems like they are bringing a lot more pressure. So I really wanted to try to check that out. So I went back to week 1. Because I remember in that game plan, I told you guys that Trubisky struggles with the blitz. If you disguise it well, he will get confused to make bad decisions. He doesn't pick up on the blitz very well. Mitchell Trubisky doesn't pick up on the blitz. But when you're going against a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you really have to be very specific when you blitz because he will pick up on literally everything. It's so difficult to get anything by him. We've seen it a couple times, but that one hit Walker did have on Aaron Rodgers, we kind of hid that well because we really had to be careful when we blitz. We didn't blitz him very often. And the reason I know that is because so far the season, Lions have blitzed about 22% of the time, which is more than the past 2 years up to this point. It's only 2 games. But in week 1, the Lions blitzed 30% of the time against Chicago. Hold up. 30% of the time you blitzed? That means in week 2, you probably blitzed about 15% of the time to get it kind of, maybe more like 16, 17. So in week 1, you blitzed 30% of the time against Chicago. That's a lot more than before. And that was actually tied for 13th in the league. That's a lot of blitzing for Matt Patricia. He doesn't do that. We saw the Patriots start to do that a lot more last year, and we saw it in week 1. And I think part of that is because of the quarterback you're going against, like Matt Patricia said in the midweek when he said, hey, look, it depends on who you're going against, because a guy like Trubisky doesn't pick up the blitz well. He doesn't notice it well, so he'll make bad decisions. There was a certain play where Lions brought 7 players, and he just chucked it deep. 7 guys. You couldn't find anything underneath? No, because he just chucked it deep because you kind of panic in those situations. Certain quarterbacks do, and that was one of the weaknesses for Mitchell Trubisky. So I'm thinking to myself, well, hold up. Is it just that the Lions' game plan was that way, or is it because, you know, the cornerbacks were healthy, right? Because that's what it would seem like. So what about the 4th quarter when there was no Coleman and there was no Trufant? Did they just stop blitzing? Actually, the complete opposite. The Lions blitzed 41.7% of the time in that 4th quarter. 5 of the 12 dropbacks for Trubisky were blitz. You blitzed half the time Trubisky dropped back. So Matt Patricia was like, hey, let's get to the quarterback. Now let's try to make it more uncomfortable as ever because we know we have, you know, some questionable pieces in the back end. Unfortunately, it didn't work because Tony McRae was getting absolutely burnt. But there's really nothing you can do about that, and that's why we really didn't see Tony McRae against the Green Bay Packers, right? That's why we didn't see him, because in week 1, we're like, all right, we've seen enough. So the thing is, Matt Patricia is blitzing this year. He's just doing it based on the opponent he's going against. So against Kyler Murray, will he blitz? That's the big question. Will he blitz against Kyler? And I'm really struggling which side to go here because I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, yeah, I could see him blitzing. And the reason I could see him blitzing is because he's very young. He's a young quarterback, and he will make mistakes. I've seen him, when pressure is in his face, make mistakes. He's a little bit on the smaller side as well and kind of mess you up sometimes. And if you looked at him last year, which was about a quarter way through the season, he was tied for 27th in the league, only having 4.5 yards per play when blitzed. That's something to look at. I'm thinking to myself, okay, you could bring pressure on the young guy, right? But what's the downside of bringing pressure? Well, he can go outside the pocket and make plays, which is the best place he is. He's best when he's running. He's the best quarterback when he's running. He's the best version of himself. That's why he has more rushing yards than his running back does, because when he gets outside the pocket, he can make plays downfield and also use his feet. And he did that a lot so far in the first 2 weeks. But when you look at the other statistics, you can see that Kyler Murray, this was last season's stats because there's a very small sample size still for Kyler Murray. But Kyler Murray, when he is in the pocket for more than 2.5 seconds, okay, which is when they start going with the pass rush win rate and things like that, 46.8% of his dropbacks, he took 40 sacks. So he took 40 sacks because when he held onto the ball longer than 2.5 seconds. Okay, so I'm really looking at this saying, hold up, maybe the Lions shouldn't blitz too much, because maybe dropping back into coverage is the best way to do it. That way, one, you have guys that can watch the quarterback and make sure he doesn't leave, and you have better contain. And two, maybe he holds on to the ball too long and, he'll get pressure. Now, again, it does depend on your opponent, because the Lions so far haven't been winning pass rush win rate. It's 19%. It was like 29 after week 1. It's already 19. Last week was just awful when it comes to getting to the quarterback. So those front 3, front 4 aren't getting tons of pressure. So hopefully, the Lions can get more pressure from the front 4 or front 3 or whatever you want to call it, as that they do bring. Because if they can do that, it can allow Matt Patricia to drop more often. And it looks like that's the better way to beat Kyler Murray. But at the same time, if they're not getting any kind of push, which we kind of are expecting to see, unless, that offensive line for the Cardinals doesn't hold up as well as it did for Green Bay, which could be the case. It definitely could be. Patricia may have to bring in some blitzes, right? Matt Patricia may have to try to bring some pressure. And that's just the big thing here. When you bring pressure, you have to try to bring it without letting him get loose. So you have to bring it very specifically. I feel like he's your best when you get in his face. So it's going to be really difficult. If you do blitz the inside, which I think is fine, you just have to make sure those edge guys contain very well. So how much would the Lions blitz Kyler Murray? I don't really know. I mean, this is a very difficult one. I think it has to go based on how the game is playing out, right? I think you start by dropping, because they're going to do some short passes. You start that way. And if you see that your line is creating any kind of push, then maybe you kind of stay that way. But if he's standing there, they're getting no push whatsoever, and Kyler Murray's just dotting you up, then you're going to have to start to dial up some blitzes. Their best bet here may not be blitzing right away. I think it'll depend on how the game's going, but I just kind of want to talk about that too. Like, Matt Patricia and Corey Allen are bringing pressure, and they definitely did in week 1. And if they feel like that they can take advantage of Kyler Murray by doing that, then I expect them to do that. If not, and if they're looking at it saying, hey, you know what, our best bet here is actually dropping based on the stats we've seen here, and he'll hold the ball too long and make bad decisions, then maybe the Lions will drop 7 or 8 more often than not. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That's really all I have for today's video. Tomorrow, we'll be here for a pregame and obviously the live stream. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. I don't know what's going on here. I feel like a weather person. I don't know why I'm holding this either. But look at all these members. Are you kidding me? Hall of Fame, All-Pro, patrons. Look how many All-Pro members. I can't even see the bottom, dog. What? If you guys want to be a part of this, all you got to do is click the join button. It's on the homepage of my YouTube channel. But this is absolutely nuts. Shout out to you guys. This is crazy. I had to bring out my cool shirt for this one, okay? Because y'all are legends. I had to bring out the legends. See what I'm doing?